championship title in 2026 and building new opportunities for the next generation of players across the state. They want you with them. Let's show the world how Nebraska plays volleyball. Join the movement at lovebneb.com and sign up to become a Love Nebraska Insider today.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop!
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage, 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arens still on the ones and twos. Started with old school. Now we're going solo for another hour here. And then, of course, as I said earlier, we'll put up best of the ticket replay for another hour. Get us at least till 10 o'clock so we can keep the local content staying local before we go national with it. With that being said, we're going to dive into Husker football, maybe sneak in some NFL, and then definitely some NBA. As I put NBA, I put it down, gave it a rest, figured everyone was tired of talking about it, especially during the offseason. Wait for some of the numbers to fly in, wait for some of the trades to go down, and we can revisit it, and we'll certainly do that later in the show. Where I want to start off with, though, like I said, Husker football, we're getting to that point where I think a lot of people want to have really high expectations. I think I'm hearing anywhere from 10 wins to 7 or 6 wins. When you look at the momentum of this team, Matt Rule's momentum, I should say, what he's done in year 3, if you follow the history, it says we make the jump. If you follow Nebraska's history, it says it doesn't matter. You're not going to make that next jump. I'm willing to trust Matt Rule a little bit more on this one. I think Matt Rule, Troy Dannon, and Troy Dannon, I think deserves some credit as well. It really for what he's done as an athletic director when Trev Alberts left. I won't go into how everyone felt when Trev Alberts left, but he's over at Texas A&M. Troy Dannon comes in out of Washington, and I think he's done a good job with all of the programs. Hearing from guys like Peter Colbelt, tennis. No shade to tennis, but tennis does not bring in as much as college football. Even with the House versus NCAA settlement that went through, I know Peter Colbelt was on these airwaves saying that his budget hasn't changed. Troy Dannon making sure that program still has what it needs to go and compete. Wrestling program as well. You hear from Ridge Levitt, who obviously was a little bit on the fence with Trev Alberts, knowing that Trev Alberts, he was coming from Omaha, just cut the wrestling program that won 3 back-to-back titles. So, I can imagine why Ridge and some of the wrestlers were like, we'll see this thing out. But in his own words, it's not like he was talking about how angry he was about it. He just said, it is what it is. I'm going to just make sure I need to do what I need to do. So, but he was an alma mater. So I think most of everybody was pretty happy, embraced him. And, I don't think he was doing anything wrong. I don't think he was doing a horrible job. But I will say, when Troy Dannon came here, it feels like things have been a lot more fluid. It feels like when we put out a plan for the stadium, we're going to follow and execute that plan. It feels like he's not just reaching out when he has spare time. It feels like he's putting that spare time into his schedule to ensure that he does have an opportunity to go shake the hands of the coaches and the student athletes and the training table and make sure that as an athletic director, he isn't just focused on a few things. And, it might make more sense for him to, if all you care about is football, is for him to only focus on football. But I think it makes the university better as a whole in the athletic program when you have an athletic director who's, in my mind, from what I see, it feels like he makes sure that he puts within his own schedule. Let me make sure I'm making time to, it sounds stupid because that's exactly what an AD should do, but I think you can go to another level with it. And I think the AD right now, Troy Dannon, from all signs outside looking in, it looks right. It looks like this is what a hands-on AD should look like. And then when you put that to the football program, you'll probably see a lot of the videos with Matt Rule walking around on the field, talking about practice, talking about, the nutrition, the training table where the athletes go to eat, right? Where the meals are prepped for them, where you got nutritionists available that'll break down your carbs, break down how much protein you need, break down, if you want that soft served ice cream. I'm not sure if that's still there at the training table. They might have taken it out. You got a nutritionist there that will tell you if you need that, if you can afford that, or if taking that right now is the complete opposite thing you need to do if you want to get your body into shape for the upcoming season. Whether that's football, volleyball, track, bowling, doesn't matter. Training table, phenomenal. And I think it is a huge recruiting tool that Nebraska football can use, is the nutrition table. Like it's incredible. I encourage anybody to go check out those facilities. If they can get a tour, or even if you just walk into that front area, or go find the drone video that they put out when they first toured the Huskers facilities, when they were brand new, when they were done, when they were finally put together, you can get lost in that place. It's huge. Everything's got a proper spot. Everyone's got enough space. But the beauty of it, and why I think it's becoming such a recruiting tool, is not only the nutrition, but the trainers that are in there as well. I mean, you got the nap pods. Whatever you make of those, you can go take a quick nap if you need it. You got the red infrared lights therapy if you want to do that. And then, of course, you got the basic stuff: cold tub, hot tub, regular lukewarm water. I mean, you name it. And then you get the psychiatrist in there as well. You know, you're having the yips and you're a baseball pitcher, whatever you need, you can go talk to them. You need to put on a bunch of weight because you're playing offensive lineman and you're a freshman in the Big Ten. Nutritionist. You're a wrestler. You need to cut weight. Nutritionist. It's like there's so many tools and they're all within that new area. And that's why I encourage people to check it out. And why I'm a little more optimistic to buy in on this year's Husker football team and really a lot of Husker programs is because the athletes don't have to leave. They really don't. Now, to leave and live a normal life, yeah, eventually you want to get them out of there. But I mean, you can, especially for what the football program has had, you know, you have 2-a-days. And the morning practice is brutal. The guys are tired. They want to get some rest. Just walk right across the field, walk in to one of the most beautiful facilities you'll find all across the country. That will, obviously, you're going to have your showers. You go get yourself cleaned up. Then you're going to have the trainers. Now you can let's make sure we treat the muscles that I worked really hard, get them right. Now that's done. Okay, do I need, ice tub, whatever. Check care of that. Nutrition. Nutrition's going to be on a tee. Perfect. Fantastic. Off time. Pool, couches, watching TV. I mean, in their meeting room looks like a movie theater. I won't be surprised if they watch movies in there time to time. Hang out until the next practice. Practice rolls around again. You do what you need to. Practice is over. Once again, just walk across the field. You'll have your nutrition. You'll have your therapy. I mean, everything is right there for the athletes to be as good as they possibly can be with little to no excuse why they aren't in premier shape. Like, seriously, if you are a Husker athlete right now, you're kind of running out of excuses to not be in great shape. It's coming down to A, you don't care, B, you're injured. Because everything's just right there. And I'll throw in C. C, you're in a unique bad situation where, for whatever reason, people, they're not engaged with whatever your best interest is. So I'll throw that unique one. But for the most part, if you're not in shape, there's not a whole lot of good reasons for it anymore. And that's the beauty of the facilities. It's a lot of money. It might seem kind of gaudy at times, like, why are we going to put this much money together for these facilities? I think it's a huge recruiting tool. You can keep the athletes around longer. You want to build that team chemistry up. Build team chemistry by simply just being around each other. And again, you don't have to go home. I mean, you have to go home eventually, but really, especially during fall camp, those football players, what a tremendous asset to have a setup that you're hard pressed to find any other universities like it right now. Give it 5 years. We know how it goes. Nebraska might be the best right now. 5 years, it certainly won't be the best. There's always going to be a new facility getting put up every 3 to 5 years that you'll have to compete with because that's going to be the new best. But right now, they certainly have an advantage in the Big Ten when it comes to, if you want to be in a place that's really going to have everything you need to develop yourself as an athlete, then Nebraska, you can make an argument, it was one of the best ones out there right now. Now, if you want to talk about coaches, you're going to have a preference there. If you want to talk about play style, how does Nebraska's football team fit my style? That's where the recruiting changes. Obviously, it's not all just about the facilities, the nutrition, and all that. You got to make sure the style of whatever that team is, football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, bowling, I don't care. Make sure it fits the style as well. But the best thing about it is, once again, the athletes really, it's a good thing that there's not a lot of excuses for Husker football to roll out pretty soon here. I think 21 days away and not be in the best shape they've ever been in their entire lives. That's kind of just the way I see it. There's a lot of money being put into it, and I think it's rightfully so. And I think the way they've done it is really smart, and how all those things are connected. I think it's not just for the football program. I think it's just across the board. I think a massive win for this entire athletic program. And I think Troy Dannon, you tip your cap to him for, I think, doing a good job. Trev Albert's leaving. Troy Dannon shows up. What are we doing with the stadium? How much are we spending on the stadium? And he actually says not enough. Now, I'm not going to debate whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but says it's not enough. He actually ups the amount of money that we're going to put into Memorial Stadium, and we'll see what those plans really look like the further we get along here. Obviously, we'll have to wait for this season to get over with, but how they flesh those out, what they're all considering. But I think he's just got a very clear mind on what he wants to do. And it's nice to have a leader that has a plan. Ironically, as that sounds, you run into leaders that actually don't have a plan. Again, all that to say, facilities are great. They're, I think, going to help us in a lot of ways. It's going to come down to the talent at this point. Can we continue to bring in the right talent? We can make sure we can turn them into great athletes, but we got to make sure that their ceiling isn't too low. And that's where wins got to happen now. And that's why the Cincinnati game's big. You have the facilities, you have the coaches, you have the coaching staff. Everything's there except for the wins. I want to talk about wins. Now I'm specifically talking to Husker football. I'm not going to say that to volleyball. Obviously still. Like, those guys know how to win. It's going to be a little bit different for them this year with Busboom Kelly, but I got optimism that they will figure out a way to get it done because they always have. They're the polar opposite of what football's been. They have always given me reasons to not doubt. Husker football's given me plenty of reasons to continuously doubt. Last year was the first year Husker football said you can have a little bit of faith. Even though that Boston College game started off as sloppy as it did with a pretty bad turnover early in that game. And Boston College was, it didn't look like the most incredible team out there, but Nebraska was doing what they were doing. They were giving them some sloppy turnovers and some opportunities to stay in that game. And you had a little bit of that doubt crept in, but then you saw the leadership kind of finally break through. Even Dylan Rail, like, I know he's a true freshman, but he had some good moments. But really, Ty Robinson, I mean, that was the leadership that a place like the Nebraska football team has missed. Moment's big. It's going to come down to a one-score game if we don't do something. We need to get a stop here, and he does exactly that in that Bad Boy Mowers Bowl versus Boston College. I know Ty Robinson had that huge sack. He was also a lead blocker for helping Ramir Johnson get into the end zone late in the game as well. So now you need the wins, and you need the wins through leaders. Dylan Raiola, he's going to have a lot on his plate this year. He is keeping in track with the 5-star projections. Last year, and you guys can tell me I may be wrong on this. That's about what I expected from Dylan Raiola last year. I wasn't expecting him to come in here and save the University of Nebraska in year one. You could make an argument that he did just by getting to a bowl game because got that bad of a streak. But I wasn't expecting him to take us to the playoffs. I wasn't expecting to win 8, 9, 10 games last year. I was expecting to go bowling, and that's what we did. We finally went bowling. His biggest thing now is, can he stay on track with being the 5-star athlete that I think a lot of people are expecting from him? And this isn't me being, Nebraska native Husker fan bias. This is me listening to, the Josh Bates. You can go on 3, listen to those guys. Even guys like Colin Cowherd, who I'm not always super high on, more of the clickbaity, I think, type of journalism. But, each to their own. I'm not saying that he's any worse or better than I am. He's just doing his own thing. But my point is to say it by circling all of it is there is attention around Dylan Raiola to be that 5-star quarterback. I've not seen a whole lot of people that anything last year show that he can't be that guy. The only thing that showed last year was that he was a true freshman. He was a guy that was young who was really having to take the reins of what has been an atrocious program that, and not only, I shouldn't say atrocious program, because I think there's people that worked at that program that worked very hard, that the work they were putting in wasn't atrocious. What was atrocious was the confidence and belief in themselves. And that's a tough thing to fix. And that's why I'm not going to slam on everybody and just say everyone was terrible. It was the mental facets were bad. That the doubt was constantly creeping in there. And I think he also saw maybe the facilities weren't as good as we thought. And I think that's a big part of what I talked about for the first 15 minutes of the show was, okay, now we are at a point where we can kind of bang on our chest a little bit and say, we have the best facilities in the country. If not, go find me an example because I got to see it because I haven't seen one yet. So that's where we're at now, where I think we can. But, for a while there, I think we were kind of claiming we had some of the best facilities, best fan base. I think we can definitely say, yeah. Facilities, not so sure. Definitely not the best. Maybe not even top 10, top 25. It was kind of getting to that point. Now we are at that point where you do have those facilities. We got Blitzkrieg on here and wants to know what happens if Dylan Raiola goes down. Is the season over? no one is talking about the backups. Backups are going to be interesting. You bring in Gramstead, who gives me some hope. Now, say Dylan Raiola goes out for the entire season. Yeah, that's going to change things. Obviously, I think it's going to be a tougher road, and that's no surprise. But I do think that Jalen Gramstead is exactly what you want in a backup quarterback. He's pretty confident. Everything you get from him is he knows what he's doing. I think he's a 5-year guy. I could be wrong on that. Maybe just a 4-year guy. But he's a veteran. He's got plenty of experience. He's been on multiple teams. He knows the lingo. You know, for a lot of these guys, once you get to that 5th year, maybe they call it a different thing, but you understand the concepts and how that works when talking about the offense. You know, so if you're Gramstead and, well, this is what they call this X over here. What do you guys call it at Nebraska? Well, we call it Y. Okay, I understand the concept before it. I just need to memorize the names. And from everything you've heard, Gramstead is at that point. You know, hearing from offensive coordinator Dana Holgerson, even hearing from just some of the other players. I know Dylan Raiola has even been pretty high on him and pretty complimentary of him about being a solid quarterback. And it seems like the players got a lot of faith in them as well. So I'm actually not overly concerned about that backup nearly as much as I have been in years prior. If we lose Gramstead, yeah, now I'm a little bit worried. You know, wherever TJ Latif's at right now, I think he can be a phenomenal quarterback, but I don't want to put him in there way too early. And let's see, TMZ, shout out TMZ, 6-year guy, even better. So yeah, Gramstead, solid. I think he will be a pretty reliable backup if we need to get to that point. And even if it's worst case scenario where he's got to finish out the second half of the season because it's just one of those bad injuries that unfortunately happens, I'm not overly terrified. You know, that might take down on the win total. That might hurt our playoff expectations if you have any, which I don't think you'd be wrong to have playoff expectations. I won't tell you to bet all your money on it, but there's reasons to believe that this team can make some serious strides with the schedule they've been given. There's always the surprise games that can catch you, but it's not a totally ludicrous idea to think that Nebraska can do what Indiana did last year. And their road isn't even as challenging as what Indiana's was. Indiana had no one believing in them whatsoever. Nebraska's at least got some continuity. It's not a first-year head coach; it's the third-year head coach. So I mean, that's absolutely in the stars for them. Let's see, final thing, and then we got to throw at the break here. Gramstead would start at my former all matter, but a Big Ten QB. I mean, say what you will about Gramstead, but I think he'll be fine. You know, at a certain point, if he's being picked up by Nebraska recruiting at a Big Ten school with that much experience, there's plenty of tape on there for you to look at the guy and decide, can he compete at the Big Ten level or not? 6 years playing football with tape. At that point, you're not bringing him into the Big Ten unless you think he can actually do the role. And you're definitely not putting him in at the backup unless you think you can do the role. Is it going to be Dylan Raiola? Probably not. But that's the deal when you get to the backup quarterback. So I get what you're saying, and hindsight will be 2020. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to go a little bit and lean on more with the coach speak. I don't think you see a guy who's been in the league that long and then look at his tape and then bring him in there being super uncertain if he can even compete against Big Ten talent. And if you're really optimistic, hopefully the offensive line at Emmett Johnson's good enough that if he isn't ready, you can do enough of what Michigan did last year, where it's like, you know what, we're just going to bully teams out of the way because we're feeling really shaky about a quarterback situation. And obviously that's easier said than done. What Michigan has and what has developed has been that type of culture. That'd be a huge step for Nebraska to lead into that. But no, I'm going to be optimistic on Gramstead until I see some real reasons like, you know what, this guy is not ready. But a lot of people were super high on Jeff Sims when he came over here because he was playing power forward football, was not Big Ten ready, was not a lot of, conferences ready. So the quarterback, you're a genius if you call it, if you're right, you're an idiot if you get it wrong. I'm going to lean on the coaches a little bit more. I don't think they bring in a guy who they don't think can play Big Ten quarterback and then put him as that backup and then talk highly about him as that backup QB unless they actually believe it. Like I said, could be wrong, but that's the direction I'm going to lean with it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Tune in as always. I don't care if I disagree with you. Always appreciate the feedback. 402-464-5685. And of course, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. Put a face to the voice. We'll throw it to break I'll talk to you guys on the other side.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2025 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 23rd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Bank Strong, and the Ad Council.
We've been hunting these fields north of Kearney since high school. My buddy Ryan has always been my wingman, the life of the party. But I saw a change, and he got really down. Talked about his life being worthless.
If you know someone who's struggling, talk to them about temporarily storing their guns away from their home, taking care of friends and neighbors. It's what we do in Nebraska. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters.
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner. Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat. Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Bank Strong, and the Ad Council.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take, but it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
In Nebraska, we show up when friends need help. We check in on our neighbors. That's why it's important to know the warning signs of suicide. If you have a friend or neighbor who's withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talks about suicide, find out how you can help. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. You have the power to save a life. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in segment number 2. Harrison Arns going solo. As mentioned before, 402-464-5685. You guys can always join in. Join in via any of the streams as well. And, of course, you can download the Ticket app. No Royals taking over tonight, but if they were to do so, usually that Ticket app is a good way to stay plugged in locally. Moving on here, we'll stick to a little bit more Husker football before we touch the NBA. It's still NBA offseason, and football is right around the corner. At least college football. NFL preseason happening right now. We do got the Bengals and Eagles still playing, I believe. And then later, of course, 9 o'clock for all of us Central Time, Raiders and Seahawks. And me and Jeffrey talked about it. Raiders are just going to be fun. I'm just to watch that entire division. Again, Chargers, Chiefs, new version Raiders. I think they'll probably still finish towards the bottom of that division, but at least they'll be exciting. I hope more exciting. I'd be hard-pressed to believe they're worse. But and then, of course, the Chargers. I left them off the list. And then Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, like that division, brutal. But Raiders' schedule outside of that division, pretty manageable. So I just think that could be a really electric division, especially if the Raiders surprise people. If the Raiders start surprising teams, that's going to be the best division in all of the NFL next year. And if it's not them, maybe the NFC North. You know, it depends if the Lions fall off. Then probably not. Can the Bears live up to the hype? History will tell you no. I'm hoping yes, but you're banking on them. And then the Packers, Vikings. I think the Packers, Vikings, you feel the best about in terms of staying on track. Vikings with O'Connell, like you're just always feeling like that offense is going to be pretty successful. And then, of course, with the Packers, you feel good there. They just have consistent coaching, quarterback wise. Everything with the Packers is pretty consistent right now. So you've drafted a wide receiver for once. So I think those two you feel pretty good about. Maybe the Vikings or Packers take that one spot if the Lions fall down. But I actually think Dan Campbell and the Lions will be all right. Step back from last year, not a fall off the mountain by any means. But anyways, I'd like to talk about NFL. I want to talk Husker football. 3 games that I think will, and I say this loosely, shape the Husker football season. And when in terms of shape, these games will, I think, have a big effect on how the next ones turn out after. And you could take a wild swing, and guess what that most important game is for me? Number 1 off the list, Michigan. Michigan's going to be a problem. And not because we're bad, because Michigan's always a problem. We just haven't had answers. The only time we were close to beating them was, everyone remembers it, Adrian Martinez. They definitely should have blew the whistle. The ball was stopped completely, but they didn't. And we fumbled. And Michigan scored, and they won the game. That was about it. Otherwise, my entire history of watching us in Michigan, we've been getting our breaks kicked in, and it doesn't matter if it's been on the road or if we're at home. We have not stood a chance to Michigan. Huge game. I mean, this is the point for Nebraska football. You have to make a statement at some point in time. Because if you can beat a Michigan just once, pretty soon UCLA doesn't seem as scary. Pretty soon a Minnesota game on the road doesn't seem so scary. You respect them, but you know you've beat better. And I think that's where Nebraska loses a lot of these games that everyone circles as a win, but then we go out there and play it. UCLA last year. You drop that one. I think that caught a ton of people off guard, and especially the way they dropped it. Illinois last year. Shocked a lot of people. Not as much, though, because Illinois was at least, I think they were undefeated heading into that one, along with ourselves. But, you know, if you never beat anyone great, it's hard to convince yourself that you are better than Maryland, that you are better than Minnesota, that you are better than Northwestern, that you're better than Michigan State, UCLA, USC, Washington. How can you say you're better? Because you lose to the same powerhouses that they do, and you're trading blows between them every other season. And I think that's kind of the mindset that why winning a big game is so important. And why Michigan, are they going to be underdogs? Yes. But you know what? They might not have Sharon Moore, and they might have a true freshman in Underwood who isn't fully comfortable yet. That's a statement game. Nebraska's got to figure out a way to win those statement games. And I think if they start winning those statement games, all of a sudden those games that you're just quote unquote supposed to win, that actually starts to happen. You just start winning those games because that, the polar opposite of what the Scott Frost experience was. Scott Frost was the doubt crept in. If you beat a Michigan, pretty soon the optimism kicks in because it's like, you know what? We've definitely beat much better players, much better talent, arguably better coaching staff, much more money behind this Michigan team than whatever Maryland, Michigan State, whatever X team you want to put in there. I think that's kind of been going to be the difference for year 3. If you can beat that Michigan team, all of a sudden, like you're looking at playoffs as a real thought, not just some fun idea that you guys say quietly, to your friends or when you have a few beers and you're feeling confident. That's the next step. You have to make that statement game. You make the statement win versus Michigan. All of a sudden, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, you're not nearly as worried about dropping one of those games. And again, it doesn't mean you walk in there. Now we beat Michigan. We don't got to respect anyone. We'll walk all over everybody. But when things do get tough in that game, especially that Maryland game, because that's Michigan State, October 4th, and then Nebraska on the road, Maryland, October 11th. It'll probably be like a noon game. It'll probably or not a noon. It'll probably be a morning game, like a real sleeper. If you run into a tough situation in that game, if you beat Michigan, you feel a hell of a lot better, figure out a way to come out of that game than if you got blown out by Michigan. So I think that's game number 1. For obvious reasons, if you can just set the tone, finally set the tone, put Nebraska on the map, make teams respect you because they just haven't before. And again, if Sherrone Moore doesn't think he needs to be there to beat Nebraska, that should be offensive. And I'd imagine that's kind of the player's mindset. I would hope it's a little bit in their mindset, not to hyper focus on it, but just to take that into account. Is like they're not scared of us whatsoever. That this is the game that he's going to volunteer to sit out because he can come to what we call one of the toughest road environments. And he doesn't come. He sends his team out to one of the toughest road environments, confident they'll come back with a win. Like that should do something to your blood temperature, at least a little bit. If I'm a Nebraska football player, coach, even if I'm like a player's mom, like I'm upset by that kind of attitude that, that's how you're looking at this program, as I don't even need to be there on the road and I'll just wait for my team to come back home with a win. That's kind of the mindset that you need to have for that game. Make a statement versus Michigan. And everyone expects it to be another win, lay down. If you make it a 1-score game, we'll all clap and say, what a close game, Nebraska. You need to go out there and win. Finally start changing the narrative. Game number 1, Michigan. I'll leave them alone, lay off that, because I pick on Michigan a lot ever since the Connor Stallions thing. Kind of got off the hook on that. Let's see. TMZ ask, let's see, is this your generation, the breakthrough game, Michigan? Wants to ask, is that my generation's breakthrough game? I think so, right? I mean, I was born in 99. Someone throw me my breakthrough game where I felt like Nebraska was there. Seriously. Like there just wasn't a lot. Ndamukong Suh, when we're challenging Texas Tech, was like probably the best I've ever felt about being a real contender, a real team. Texas was the breakthrough game for me when I was really young. Obviously, Suh's game was incredible. Colt McCoy, Suh, both in the Heisman race. That defense could have beat anybody. It really could have. That defense could have won Nebraska a national championship. Would it have been tough? Yeah. Would have probably been against the odds? Yes. Would not have been incredibly unlikely, though. That defense was unreal. So that was my breakthrough. After Bo Pelini, the breakthrough was I just want to go bowling. I just want to have some postseason. So I really couldn't tell you really after Bo Pelini when that game came around and where I felt super confident that breakthrough was going to come. Obviously confident with the Scott Frost era. Hindsight 2020, we all better for it now, or at least I hope. Hopefully he is as well because he's coaching some more. But yeah, I just hasn't been a lot. So this is why that Michigan game sticks out like a sore thumb. Finally put your foot down, get some respect for the University of Nebraska football. And I sound super negative, but I think the guys and the coaches have been doing a good job. I am optimistic, despite the tone of the voice. Then the next big game. You can go a few ways about this. I'm going to go USC, though. I really do think USC is another one of those games where, again, talking about especially if you drop that game to Michigan, you need to figure out a way to beat USC. Because after USC, then it's UCLA, and UCLA is on the road, and we lost to UCLA last year. Then you got to go to Happy Valley, Penn State, and then you got to go to Iowa. So you lost to, that's 1, 2, 3 teams last year that you went 0-3 against, and then of course Penn State, who haven't played in a hot minute, and who's going to be the best team on your schedule all year. Opportunity to go 0-4. That's why USC sticks out to me. Doesn't matter what Nebraska does, you know. If they beat Cincinnati, which I could throw Cincinnati on this list, don't be brushing over Cincinnati, although I don't think most fans are. It could be a really intriguing game. Then Akron, Houston Christian, Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota Northwestern. So even if you're perfect right there, and we could throw in a loss to Michigan. So you're what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. 7-1. Not panicking. Hey, we didn't beat Michigan. That's okay. We did what we needed to. 7-1. Feeling great. USC 7-2. UCLA's got Nico Iamaleava now. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. It's always a tough one to get out the tongue. But that's a game changer with their quarterback situation. And again, they beat you last year. Eric Bieniemy is no longer there as the offensive coordinator, which I think is a big, tremendous advantage. Because I think Eric Bieniemy just cooked us last year. Quite honestly, like he tore that defense to shreds on the way he was calling the game. He's not there anymore. We'll see what Deshaun Foster can do on his own, taking more control over that offense. But again, that might be 2 losses in a row. So all of a sudden you were 7-1, feeling high, coming off a win versus Northwestern, and now you're 7-2. Now you're 7-3. Penn State, you just came off 2 losses, 7-4. Iowa, how are you feeling? 7-5. I mean, that's why that game sticks out. I don't think they win all straight 5 if they did lose to USC, but that's kind of what happens to this team and what has pretty consistently happened to this team in years prior. You're winning games, you lose 1, you spiral. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 4, and we're talking, are we even going to go bowling this year? So that's why that one's up there. Third and final game, Iowa. Iowa's a no-brainer. You got to take care of those guys. It's bragging rights for them. It's a rivalry. It's the modern-day rivalry for Nebraska football. We heard the Colorado athletic director. He wanted, to play Nebraska every year. I don't think that's going to happen. You're in Nebraska. Iowa's your rival right now. You got to start taking care of business there because it's also last game of the regular season. If Nebraska does what's supposed to be, hopefully they'll be setting up for a postseason and the regular season on a win with the trophy in a rivalry game, and then go ahead and get ready for the bowl game. And if you're, playing phenomenal, maybe get ready for some college football playoffs as well, if you had that type of the season. So those are the 3 games that I think will shape the season. I didn't include Penn State because I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if we win. It's not season shaping because I think the expectations are that low on the outside. Now, Nebraska, I hope Nebraska thinks they're going to go in there and beat those guys and they can take advantage of, maybe the overconfidence that Penn State may have heading into that game. But I don't think Penn State is ever overly arrogant on playing a bad team versus a good team. I think they always show up ready to play. So, and if you lose that game, I just don't think it shakes the narrative too much on what this team is. So that's why they're not included. If you win versus Penn State, well, then obviously it's one of the biggest games in the entire regular season. And that was the possibly season shifting win that really put Nebraska on the map. And especially if you pair that with Michigan win earlier in the year, that might be a little bit too much Kool-Aid. All right, we'll throw it to one final break here. Harrison Arens going solo, 93.7 The Ticket. We'll finally wrap up. We'll tie in some NBA. I haven't talked about NBA for a hot minute. We'll do that. Wrap it up there last. Don't go anywhere. One more segment with Harrison Arens going solo.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place, and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and the station.
We've been hunting these fields north of Kearney since high school. My buddy Ryan has always been my wingman, the life of the party. But I saw a change, and he got really down. Talked about his life being worthless.
If you know someone who's struggling, talk to them about temporarily storing their guns away from their home, taking care of friends and neighbors. It's what we do in Nebraska. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take, but it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
They're too young to vape.
E-cigarettes are the most used tobacco products among youth.
They know vaping is dangerous, don't they?
The majority of youth who vape use flavored products, the kind designed to seem harmless.
If they were vaping, I'd be able to tell.
Many vapes are small, discreet, and resemble everyday items. Don't avoid the conversation. Talk to your kids about vaping. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired in association with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and the station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, wrapping things up here, one final segment, at least for me, myself here. As promised, we'll set up a replay for you guys, at least get you to 10 o'clock here before we switch things nationally to keep you plugged in locally for as long as possible. Sorry, Heyman text line always open, as well as any of the streams. Wrapping up with NBA, and let's talk about some players that are just way too damn expensive. De'Aaron Fox got a massive deal, and I like De'Aaron Fox as a player. I still think him and Lonzo Ball and De'Aaron Fox going at each other in March Madness is still one of the most exciting things you can see. And then it feels like maybe Lonzo Ball gets the last laugh in that one, and then you get to the NBA, whole nother story. I've always really liked De'Aaron Fox's game. However, this deal just does not make a whole lot of sense. San Antonio Spurs and De'Aaron Fox have agreed to a 4-year, $229 million extension. And this was earlier in the week. That's about a yearly salary of over $50 million a year. And I like De'Aaron Fox, but I don't want to build my team with that. Unless you want Victor Wembanyama to be the guy out there shooting a bunch of threes. I like the way De'Aaron Fox plays, but I don't like the way he plays for that team. And it's not because I think he's a bad player. I think it's just a tough fit for him. It's, his best thing I think he can do for the San Antonio Spurs is spread the floor, and that's not his game whatsoever. Victor Wembanyama is a monster. You want to do everything you can to push, make everybody respect the perimeter as much as possible by having as many great shooters as you can afford to have out there. Now, obviously, you have to have that defensive balance in there. Make sure you don't got a bunch of, 6'2" guards that are just good at shooting threes. No, you want to balance it out. But the point is, I just don't like this for De'Aaron Fox. Not only mentioned, that's just too much money. I wouldn't sign him for that. I just wouldn't. That's arguably like a top 15 player in the league. That kind of money. 4-year, about a $51 million deal. Like, realistically, that's top 15, top 20 player, I think, in that round. It's probably between 15 and 20, where that falls in. I'm not sure if he's actually worth that much. Really, really good season. 2023 hasn't been nearly as consistent since then, but they went ahead and did it. There's De'Aaron Fox. I root for it. I hope it does work out because this game is incredibly exciting to watch. I just never would have paid him out that money. I would have let him walk or try free agency or work out a trade if I really had to do so. Let's talk about some of the other players. Now, some of these guys are in different categories. Some of them, you can't blame the GMs as much because of injuries. And the most obvious one is Joel Embiid. He still has 4 years and $243 million remaining on that contract. And again, that's Joel Embiid. 243 in 4 years. De'Aaron Fox was 251 in 4 years. Now, at least De'Aaron Fox is healthy, but Joel Embiid was getting paid off the past. Obviously, the injuries are going to hurt his return value. That's just one you feel bad for. Like, he's not worth that. No brainer, but injuries are, I say it all the time, probably too much. Hindsight 2020, that's one right there. Obviously, it's a bad deal now. You can't give him too much grief, I think, in the moment. The other one, Paul George, 3 years, $162 million when he was with the Philadelphia 76ers back in the day. Some of these contracts that have been signed have just been absolutely awful. You got some veterans as well. Pull up here. DeJounte Murray and the New Orleans Pelicans, 3 years, $96 million still owed. Jeremiah Grant for the Portland Trailblazers, 3 years, $102.6 million. Zach LaVine, Sacramento Kings, $96.4 million. Zach LaVine, you feel okay with that. I think Zach LaVine's just really phenomenal player. Played for the Bulls. Now he's playing for the Kings, and he's playing for the Timberwolves. He went to the Timberwolves when they were arguably in the worst situation they've been in a long time. Then he went into the Bulls when the Bulls were in their worst situation that they've been in since I've been alive, or since after Derrick Rose. I'll be fair. Since after Derrick Rose. And then he went to the Kings, who have, now this is since I've been alive, I've always been in a bad situation. 3 bad markets. He's a guy that I think he deserves that money. I really do. He's always pretty healthy. Occasionally has some minor ones, but he very rarely has these long stretches where he just can't play. He's a guy that I actually think that's not too much. It's just unfortunate he's playing for the Kings because the odds of that team ever turning around with what they have right now just don't seem great enough. We'll go one more here. We'll try to find the most ridiculous one. Let's see here. Patrick Williams. We'll stick with my Chicago Bulls. Patrick Williams was at one point in time thought of to be this great center that was going to be possibly a superstar center in the league. Has kind of found himself slowly working to the bench more and more, less minutes, less reps, less trust. and just his game hasn't developed. He's not super consistent with the 3 ball. You thought he might be able to be this really athletic stretch 5 at times, and the shot just has been nowhere near consistent. And right now, today, 4 years, $72 million for Patrick Williams in remaining money for a guy you're not using or planning to use for the long run, even if you decide to use him now. So there's my quick list just on some of the crazy money getting thrown around the league. And of course, De'Aaron Fox, major 4-year deal worth just over $250 million. A little too much for me, I think, for the Spurs, but they maybe see something that I don't. Spurs, it's a young team. So if you want to lock them in early, you can go with that route. They'll be interesting. I don't think they'll be a playoff team. Not this year. That being said, that's going to wrap it up for me. As promised, we'll play some of the best of the ticket for another hour, at least get you guys to 10 o'clock with the local content before we switch it over nationally. I'm Harrison Arens. Appreciate you guys listening. As always, I will talk to you again Sunday morning.